Testing 1 2.
Test 1 2.
Testing 1 2.
Test 1 2.
Okay, that's good. Welcome to Campfire Chronicles, episode number 13.
Is it 13?
I think so. This is Robby, and that is
Andrew.
And this time we're not eating. We're not drinking. Don't worry. There's no food noises.
There's no campfire either.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I guess we could go to the backyard and do that. It's quite cold outside,
Yeah.
though. So, I don't know. Feeling a little lazy.
Yeah.
So we just went to... is that a secret? It's not a secret, right?
Not really. It's West Virginia. Let's just say
we
West
went
Virginia.
to West Virginia. Yeah.
And like the world today, there were some crazy things that happened. Yeah, I don't want to say anything though, because
Yeah, I think for the most part, I mean, we get a little preachy on Adventure Archive sometimes, but for the most part, we try to stay as a refuge from political nonsense.
Yeah. Oh, I just meant I don't want to say anything about what went crazy during the trip either.
Oh, you were talking about
I took
Man,
that
that's so much on my mind.
I took that as a
right
granted.
now.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So obviously we're not going to talk about politics, but yeah, we won't get too much into the details of what happened on the trip, so that we don't spoil the episode.
Yeah.
But we
can
can talk about in general.
Yeah,
about the trip.
I think for a while we were worried we might not have enough footage.
No, I was never worried about that.
Oh, well, okay.
No, we were fine on that.
Well, I'm glad you were.
What we can say is that
Weren't we not worried with Shenandoah too, though?
Oh.
Weren't we like really happy after that one?
Well, no. That's a bad sign. Whenever we're happy after an episode,
It's like
we're
the opposite.
Yeah, we're
The
like,
one time.
when we go to edit, we're like, oh crap, what were we doing? I think we filmed a lot for this episode, though. We had almost as much footage as Algonquin.
Really?
And okay, so for those of you who don't know, when we come back, we offload all the footage and we look at how much we filmed and everything. We usually have a sense of that in general.
That's a nice snail.
Oh, that was, yeah. We filmed over 350 gigabytes for Algonquin.
Mm-hmm.
And this episode that's coming up, we filmed 290 gigabytes.
Oh, okay.
And when you think about that,
Yeah,
that's
'cause
pretty amazing, because a lot of the Algonquin shots
It was just
were
us filming whatever in the canoe, because everything looks amazing.
like 10-minute shots,
It's like how we used to just overuse the Steadicam.
Oh, yeah, just film everything.
Well, no, it's funny though, because at the last day I can't even remember what we did. Like, I don't know. We'll see though. I think it'll be good. There's some beautiful shots in there that I'm excited to look at.
So what was so interesting about this place that we went to was that this is the most desolate, out of the way,
Yeah.
not desolate, most uninhabited, out of the way forest we've ever been to.
Complete like isolation, solitude.
We didn't see a single other person anywhere on the trails, and we didn't even see evidence of other people being there.
No, like at all. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
The trail was so overrun with like leaves and like
you couldn't even find
debris.
it.
Yeah, no, sometimes we couldn't even find it, and we like went off trail.
But man, like it was awesome camping out there.
That was
like,
great.
Just,
When you know for a fact that you're the only person out there,
yeah,
man, that's a good feeling, dude.
Man, I just like. It's really weird. Like I thought there'd be fall colors, but I think it's because of the altitude.
Yeah,
Making it
because when we
colder.
came back, the fall colors around
In
here
Columbia,
were great.
And
But just
that
in
was south
area.
of us. So.
Yeah, that we'd already passed the prime for that area somehow.
But there were still some colors, but it wasn't like brilliant stuff like I saw in New York that one time.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully one day we'll get like some footage
nice
from that. Yeah.
Folly episode,
Yeah.
which right now we're playing the Smokies episode, and I believe that was in March.
Yeah, early March. So like none of the leaves were back, but it still looked really green because of all those evergreen plants, like the rhododendrons and the moss.
Well, my hair was not nearly as long as it is now.
This episode, just a quick aside, it's like so much effort was put into filming this
Yeah.
that it's like, oh man, I want more people to watch it and appreciate it, because it's actually a really fun one to watch too.
This has quite a few views, doesn't it? I don't even know.
Yeah, it's definitely the hardest episode we filmed, I think.
Yeah, I think the hardest part was the hiking. It was a lot of uphill.
And this was back when I could still edit it on my laptop because we had 1080p footage.
Did we edit part of this on the laptop?
Yeah.
Wow. God, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we switched to 4K after that. Did you have like any? So Thanksgiving is coming up.
Oh yes, and I don't know, cause there's been a lot of things going on, and like the original plan of getting this released sooner is now long gone.
Yeah, so I guess the next episode, I mean, we don't have a set date yet, but I'm guessing we can get it up by before the end of November for the early
we should at least
release.
have the early release for Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, well, we want to be done before then anyway.
Yeah.
So during Thanksgiving, my family, like all of my family gets together, on my mom's side at least. We have this huge gathering. And then you and Brian often come to it. And it's kind of funny because like I think it started from we all played Halo together online.
Yeah.
And then my other cousin, Danny, he was like, "Oh, Brian and Andrew, you guys should come." And it's like I didn't even suggest it. And it was like, that's a good idea.
Have we ever told the story about how when Danny and Adam, like came camping with us to Hocking Hills, and so they they came into Columbus, and like for some reason, it's because me and Brian had just visited you in New York. So we were like still coming back or something. So they were actually meeting with Thomas at the fish fry at his church.
Oh, right.
And they thought they were looking for an Asian guy just because, like, I don't know. They're like, oh, Andrew and Brian's neighbor.
They're just racist.
And then Thomas, because he heard, Robbie's cousins, he was looking for two Asian guys.
Oh, my God. So funny.
They're all white.
Funny. Yeah, so I'm mixed heritage for those of you who don't know. My dad is Chinese. My mom is Caucasian. So it was my cousins on my mom's side.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny, dude. Wow.
And that was like...
I thought it was just they thought Thomas was Asian. I didn't realize Thomas thought they were Asian, too.
So it's just like... It's like something out of a sitcom or something.
And they're like, oh, yeah, I wonder where Thomas is at. And then Thomas standing there. Wait. Danny? Carl?
Yeah, I don't know
Thomas?
How. It must have just been that he saw someone who looked like he was looking for someone.
Yeah. I don't remember where I was at that point. Dude.
I don't know.
I remember... It's funny. I don't get sick nearly as often as I used to, but sometimes I get so sick. And I remember one time I went to your house, and then we all went to Thomas's house, and we were playing music in his basement.
Oh yeah,
remember that?
Yeah.
I got super sick right after that.
Oh man.
And why am I bringing this up now? I don't remember, but it was maybe because I just thought of Thomas. But I remember getting in the car, and then it was like a really hot summer day. The car was like baking. We got in the car, and then I was like, oh, that feels so much better. And Brian literally looked at me and was like, Robbie, are you dying or something? Like it feels like a sauna in here.
No, that's funny because I got two stories that made me think of. Okay. One of them is one time, well, no, there's been like several moments where you were about to come over, either just like on your own or for a big family event, and like you would always break some bone.
Yeah,
like
no, I sprained my ankle.
Okay, your ankle.
Well, I had back problems for a while.
And it's just like, man, like couldn't be worse timing.
Yeah, I remember I was going to the Percussive Art Society convention, which is like the big drum percussion convention in Columbus. The night before, I sprained my ankle, and then I was like hobbling around during the whole convention.
Oh God!
And that was in Columbus.
What was it? Did you just go on to that on your own accord?
Yeah, I was like late high school, or maybe it was like early college. I can't remember.
So weird. How long
I was like
ago
super into it at the time.
No, it's funny because the 2004 gathering during Christmas.
Oh yeah.
I remember then thinking like, wow, we haven't done this for a while.
Yeah,
now
we haven't done it
years.
since. Yeah. Wow, that's so crazy,
weird,
dude. You know, it's like it's kind of weird, but we never took the mantle.
There's a car out there.
A car or something. Sounds like a UPS truck. We never really took the mantle. So in on your side of the family, or my dad's side of the family, which is your side of the family, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
We would have like family gatherings, and like we'd all go to usually your house.
Yeah.
And like 2004 was literally the last time we've done that. And I think we, as the cousins, would have taken that over and been like, oh, let's have a family gathering.
We had houses.
But none of us have houses. Well, I should say.
Well, the ones who are most enthusiastic enthusiastic.
The most enthusiastic people, which would be like you and
like
me.
Chewy at some point was talking about doing it, but it's long since.
And also everybody's like so spread out now too.
Oh,
Everybody was like Michigan, Indiana, Ohio before.
And DC.
Oh, in DC, yeah.
But it's all in that
farthest.
little.
But now it's like Washington.
Yeah.
Well, still Ohio and Indiana, but then Washington, D.C. No, Washington, not Washington, D.C.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are good times. Like,
yeah.
it's just so fun. Like, it's funny how everyone's house has a distinct smell.
Oh,
Like,
that's true. Yeah, yeah. You go to somebody's house and like, oh yeah, that's
yeah. Actually, your brother recently commented that our place, me and Brian's place, has that same smell. Apparently,
it does. I think it's the water.
Oh,
Because sometimes I'll smell the water and I'd be like,
definitely has
it
nothing
smells
to do
like your
with the
parents'
cleanliness.
house. Yeah.
But you talking about being sick also reminded me of one time when I went camping at Hocking Hills. Well, actually, it wasn't even at Hocking Hills. Like, we went hiking there, but we stayed on some farmland that my friends knew, or they knew the owners. And it was just like this big unkempt field, and like we had this fire pit and stuff. And we were drinking like lots of wine and other stuff, and like we just bought this big growler, I guess it is, like of wine. It was like really
like
cheap
a box of wine?
No, it was like a glass
jug
jug.
of wine.
Yeah,
Oh.
with a little handle on it.
Whenever you drink anything out of a jug, unless it's milk, even if it's milk, you're usually in for a bad time.
Yeah, and it's like we're drinking that. It's like cold. Back then, I still used that really bad 40-degree sleeping bag.
Oh, yeah.
And I just got sick as a dog the next day, and like I like couldn't go hiking. I just had to sit in the car the whole time, and like I don't know. It was like fever level.
Isn't it so weird how your entire perception of life is colored by how you physically feel?
Oh yeah.
It's like it's really hard to rise above the way you physically feel. So like if you just like feel like crap and you're super sick, you're not going to be thinking about, man, isn't the world a wonderful place? And man, I love this person and this person's great. You just basically think about like, I want to die.
Yeah.
This sucks.
Every little thing bothers you.
And it's like, that's why I think that the first step in all of our lives, like to make ourselves like, to better our lives, like the first step is always health in my mind. Something like,
well, it's like Maslow's hierarchy, It's
yeah.
like you got the basic fundamental needs, and then
get them basics.
you rise up to the self-attainment and stuff.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
We need something where, it's kind of like a cycle, because like you can ideally reach a society like that if all those needs are met, but we also need a society that can meet all those needs for everybody. And it's like Actually, on a similar note, I finally made kimchi again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fermented foods are like
Make Andrew kimchi again.
time.
Oh dear.
Too funny.
Which is ironic that we're watching this, because I think that's the last time I brought kimchi on an episode.
Oh yeah.
It's been like a year since I made it.
Oh man, and you did the knee slap when you were eating.
That was a genuine reaction too. Like that stuff. Like it wasn't even the taste. It was just like the empowerment. Like it's like your body.
Dude, let's talk about hunger a little bit and how. I think one of the things that comfort.
It's ironic that in the last one we ate a whole pizza.
Wait, we did?
Yeah, in your backyard.
Oh,
the
last podcast.
yeah.
I thought you meant last trip. I was
No.
We didn't have pizza. Yeah. Well, I mean, we had a growler of beer before that, so our judgment was blurred. No, where was I going? Oh, yeah. So hunger, what kind of sucks about having, like, this is incredible first world problems. Okay. But when you have this
like
much.
The very definition of
Yeah, no, it's like literal. When you have the food at the availability that we have it, you lose the appreciation for it until you actually like get back in accord with how you should be eating. Like, it's like what I find myself doing all the time is just like eating all the time. Nobody is built to eat all the time, especially not the stuff that we eat.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, let me go eat this bagel.
It's funny because it's like it's first world problems, but at the same time, doesn't that highlight the third world problem? Like the fact that we have so much here, we don't even want or need it, while other places don't have it.
Oh man!
And I was like,
restaurant food waste.
Yeah.
That's like, it hurts me every time.
Well, I was
see
just
it. I'm like,
reading a book that like, I could pull up the actual specific statistics, but basically like so many countries like produce a certain food, export it, and import that exact same amount from another country.
That's so weird.
And it's like this insanity, irrational sort of process where it's like, for whatever reason, it's set up so that, oh yeah, it's more profitable that we sell this to someone else while buying it back.
It's so weird, dude. And you know that, like, just on the fundamental thing, like, I'm not gonna get into like the solutions or like the ramifications, but just on a just purely academic point, on a academic standpoint of how strange this is. Money does not exist.
Yeah.
Like, it does not actually have a tangible physical reality.
And some people say like, oh, backed by gold. But like even then,
even that is still, it's only
yeah.
because we decided that it has value. Like the things that actually have value, heat, the roof over our heads, and the stuff we put in our bodies. You know, that, like, those are the things that have tangible reality. And yet, like, isn't that weird? Like, I mean, I'm not going to get too into like whether that's money should or shouldn't be a thing. It's just weird to think about that it doesn't actually exist.
Well, and it's just like when people prioritize this thing over actual real things.
Yeah.
That's when
It's
the
almost like
happen,
Alan Watts, man. This is like one of my favorite quotes of his, or stories, is he talks about like people go to the grocery store, they buy a bunch of food, have all this great food that they have in their cart, and then they spend $50, and then they're upset because they don't have the $50 anymore. It's like, no, man, the $50 is in the cart. That's where the real value is. That was just an indicator of value. It was like, this is 50 units of value. Give me 50 units of stuff that's same
it's
value,
like on one hand, I totally appreciate being frugal, but on the other hand, it's like there's like two different types of frugality. You know, there's like wise frugality where like you don't buy things you don't need.
Yeah.
But then there's like Ebenezer Scrooge where it's like you're just hoarding pennies for no reason. Like,
yeah, that's a really strange thing. I would maybe one day I'll experience what that's like. With me, it's like, I don't know, I spend too easily, like especially stuff I don't need. Isn't it weird how, I mean, this probably doesn't happen to you as much, but for me, sometimes I can just like be browsing the internet and then suddenly I'll get down a rabbit hole of stuff that I'm like, I didn't even know this existed yesterday.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I need it.
Yeah. Oh man, it's like that great classic movie, The Gods Must Be Crazy.
Oh, I still haven't seen that. I've only seen clips of it. Yeah.
Oh man, we gotta watch that sometime.
Yeah, I know.
It kind of gets into like a bunch of other stuff, but like,
I saw the beginning of it.
Yeah, the basic premise is
it's like the Coke bottle or something becomes super valuable.
So you got like the indigenous San people who live in the Kalahari Desert, and like one day some dude like tosses a Coke bottle out of a plane, it lands, and he discovers it, and like they're like, oh, this glass bottle, like they don't know what it is, but they're like, it's clear like water, but it's hard like a rock, and it has so many uses, and like they're using that as like a pounding tool and as like an art decoration, and and they're like, the one great line is like, suddenly something that they didn't even know existed before was something everybody needed.
Yeah. God, dude. No, I think, well, maybe I talked about it on the vlog because I was like, did I talk about this before? Just how, like, maybe I did talk about it on the podcast. I apologize if I've talked about this before, but how we
do that, a lot of that.
Yeah, I suppose. Just the big trap is to fall into is that you feel like you need things. And there's plenty of things that we need. Absolutely. Oh, it wasn't on the vlog. Okay. So I can repeat that. There's plenty of things that we actually need.
Yeah.
But the trap is to fall in, I don't know. The trap we fall into is thinking that we need things we don't need. Okay? Like even something like a cell phone. Wonderfully convenient, amazing technology, awesome communication technology, so great. You don't need it.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I mean, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
right?
there is an argument. Actually, it's really okay. So I took like a class a long time ago, and there's this idea of like relative poverty, where in certain countries you actually do need certain things that would otherwise be unnecessary. Yeah, exactly. Because like, how do you get to work without a car? Or if there's no public.
Yeah, you can't participate in.
Which is unfortunate, man. Like it's so hard to escape those things.
Like, yeah, I know, because I would like to not. So like, if I overnight said I don't want to use a car anymore, I could kind of do it if I had a bike. but it would be so woefully inconvenient and so stressful because the roads just themselves are not really set up for commuting bike travel, that it'd just be like, you add such a layer of difficulty to it that like it's easier to just play into the system. That's the troubling part. Because like even when you want to make a change, you're like, I don't want to do my fossil fuel emissions.
Yeah.
It's really difficult.
Well, I mean, and I think
and still participating in society.
And that's why I think on some level, like when we think about things like that, we have to look beyond just individual solutions.
Right.
It's like you could be the most environmentally friendly person ever, but that's just one person.
Yeah.
And we have this idea where it's like, oh, you just do one little act and suddenly there's this domino effect. But that's not true. Like, what it takes is people coming together collectively and like coming up with solutions for the whole thing, you know?
Yeah. Well, no, I think the big problem too is that the individual things do and don't matter, right? So like we know that one person turning off their lights whenever they're not using them is not going to make a difference. Altogether it will, but it's like it's so skewed towards not mattering that you don't feel like you're doing any like
I think
you don't feel like you're making any difference, so you don't even try to do stuff like that.
I think part of it is it's like these consumer solutions where it's like
buy your way
on the
in.
consumer end of things,
eat
as
your way
opposed
into
to,
thinness.
Yeah. Well, it's like the light bulb thing, like everyone buys a light bulb or whatever and they turn it off and on, but like what if we came up with like if you went further up the chain of production, it's like the first thing is the energy, and it's like where's the energy come from? If you change that, suddenly it doesn't matter what individuals do, they're using green energy for that light bulb.
Have you read up anything about Elon Musk's solar panels?
Oh,
I haven't read about those yet, but man, like I don't know. I'm sure there's downsides to it, but man, if we could get solar going.
Yeah, I mean, solar panels produce a lot of toxic waste, but so do fossil fuels.
Yeah, but it's like a one-time thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. It's quite a conundrum that we're gonna have to face.
But it's like, what's the travesty right now? Travesty? I'm not sure which. Tragedy. The tragedy right now is that the sun is outputting all of this energy.
Yeah.
And instead we're burning the stuff in the ground.
There's a great picture. It's like, this is a solar spill and it's just a sunny day. This is a wind spill. It's just a windy day.
Oh, yeah. I think I saw that recently. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, no, I'm not going to get into that. Never mind.
Well, actually going back a little bit, because you were talking about how we always want to buy things that we think we need, but we don't.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think a lot of that comes from this like hollowness that.
Oh, the hollow.
Yeah.
The hole in your soul.
Yeah, exactly.
Me and my brother always talk about that.
I feel like a lot of that is, well, okay, so I used to think a lot like, oh, we don't have community anymore. But I actually feel like in a lot of places.
You just have to find your community.
Yeah.
Like, you know what's funny? Okay. So I was talking to one of my buddies once, and I was telling him that I was going to go meet. It was actually James Maltese.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to go meet him while I was in New York.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him once, and he's like, oh, yeah, you got to be careful about that, man, meeting strangers on the internet. I'm like, I don't remember what I said to him. I was just like, oh, okay. Because I was like, you're not my mom. You're not going to tell me what to. Well, my mom wouldn't tell me what to do anyway. But you're not my keeper or whatever. Yeah. And I was just thinking,
you're
I was
not
like,
the boss of me now.
It's like, do you understand that the people who I have met through Adventure Archives, I have clicked with and I am closer to and more in line, like, these are my people. You are my people. Like, and I found you through the internet. Like, what are the chances that I would, like, just somebody proximity wise, like, so somebody who's in my same area would have the same interest in me versus the entire, like, the sample size, right? The sample size of just this area is not that big. But if you take the whole world who are interested in outdoor videos, I'm probably more likely to be friends with that person than I am somebody who just lives next door.
Yeah.
Because we have more in common, and it's like it's more specifically focused. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that is interesting. I think
so. Like the internet is a huge community. Like we don't get to meet in person as often as we'd like, but
I think that is one thing I like about the idea of living in a city is that like there's so many diverse people that you can find those people. I don't know. It's funny because I used to romanticize living out in the wilderness,
yeah.
and now I'm like, man, I don't think I'd actually want to do that.
Let's see.
But when I say city, I'm talking Columbus. I realize I'm talking Columbus.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I go to like an East Coast city, I'm like, no, I can't.
No, it's like you want population density.
Right, yeah.
You don't want like metropolism.
Yeah, right.
Is that a word?
I mean, if
but
someone,
you don't want like buildings and concrete and all this stuff. You want
Yeah.
population density.
if someone from New York came to Columbus, they'd be like, this is just a big suburb. Like,
yeah. No, I mean, like if I could. No, I mean that's what I think everybody wants. They want a community of people who they can like relate to.
Yeah.
You know, and like in dense urban areas, you're much more likely to find those type of
just
people.
because there's so many people, but also because there's like an exchange of ideas, I think.
Yeah. You
Rich
can,
cultures, yeah. But
can-
so I think like the whole tangent about the community thing, I used to think a lot of it was like a lack of community. I used to think like technology was making us more isolated. But now I think like, on one hand, yeah, I can fall into the trap of just being obsessed with technology, but on the other hand, it can help create community too.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it's necessary for that, but I think a lot of the problem is like people doing work that they find unfulfilling.
That's
like,
I mean, it's such a huge. Keep talking.
and so it's like, I don't know. So like you're just, so many people are doing jobs that they either don't find fulfilling because like, one is just menial labor that humans were never meant to do, because like hunter-gatherers, they love what they do. And two, it's like when you don't have control over the thing you're doing, then you're like, well, what's the point? Like one thing I like to think of is when my parents asked me to do yard work, and like I love the idea of doing physical labor outside.
Oh yeah.
But when it's something like raking the leaves or cutting grass or something, it's like, why? Like this is unnecessary.
Like if they had said go till the garden,
right? Yeah. Then it's like, oh yes,
get the garden ready. I'm like, you got it.
Yeah.
Which is funny because like in general, like we always talk about intrinsic rewards versus extrinsic rewards.
Mm-hmm.
So a garden technically would be an extrinsic reward because you're getting something out of it at the end. But that's one of those that's one of the few instances where an extrinsic reward makes a difference.
Well, there's actually studies that show like when you play with soil and handle it, like you get a psychological boost.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So it's like,
I've been listening to interviews with this guy named Wim Hof. We've talked about him before.
Have you listened to the latest Tangentially Speaking?
I
Because
have,
I haven't yet, but
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a really eccentric, funny guy from the Netherlands, but he can do all of these incredible feats. Like he'll stay in an ice bath and regulate his core body temperature. He runs a marathon in the desert with no water. And these are not like, he's not a huckster. He's not a guy just like trying to start a cult or something. He just wants to show people that this is possible, and he has science back it up, and he has other people do it too. He uses breathing techniques, cold therapy, and like focus of your mind, so like meditation. But I don't think he specifically calls it meditation. Why did I bring him up? Oh, I brought him up because his thesis is that we've lost touch with a primal part of our bodies because we always have comfort.
Mm-hmm.
So
I totally buy that.
Yeah, we're never pushed, but whether through cold, like there's no any of the trauma that we experience. So like now it's all just like stress, like being in a car.
Wasn't it like
arguing with
chronic
people.
versus like, there's something like anxiety, like there's a certain type of anxiety that like deer experience, when they're being hunted,
but they
it's
shake
like,
it off after they're done.
But we just have this constant like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But anyways, he said that there's a primal part of us that's not being accessed and exercised. So then it just like when you have those stress hormones, they build up and they just sit there because we don't have any way to like manage them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know all the details of it, but I've just been hearing about it. But like I think in a way we have lost, we still have all those primal parts, but they don't get to be used. And I think it's essential that they get used for our proper health and physiology,
See, that's like something.
The reason I said that is because like the farming, like we don't even handle our food. We don't even know where it comes from.
Like there's just this general disconnection from things that are so natural to humanity.
Yeah.
Like we always tell ourselves, oh, these desires aren't natural, or these.
Yeah.
And then even if we wanted certain things, like society is often set up where we can't do that. Like the gardening thing, man, like some people have gotten in trouble with like neighborhood associations for putting vegetables
for sure,
instead of
grass. Yeah.
And like helping each other, I feel like this is kind of different, but like helping each other is such a natural thing that makes you happy. And there's like so many stories of people feeding the homeless and like being told by the police that they can't do it.
Yeah, is that
like,
real?
Yeah.
Wow, that is crazy, dude.
But anyway, yeah, I totally think there is like a primal part of us that's missing. And like you just look at some indigenous people who like can run marathons in like flip-flops and stuff. And you're like, yeah, there's. But something I think about a lot is like on one hand, I feel like if everyone could challenge themselves to do that and to reach that state, things would get a lot better. But on the other hand, like we need something in society where we can give people the ability to reach their potential, because some people are just stuck at meeting their basic needs.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like we're talking from a kind of privileged standpoint, in that we have all the basic needs already met. So we're talking about, we need discomfort.
Yeah.
And other people are like, man, I would just be happy with comfort at this point.
Yeah.
You know?
No, and that's something I notice a lot is like a lot of people who think a lot about environmental issues as opposed to other issues, they tend to have more comfort and more privilege, because that's some like it's this dynamic, I think, where like on one hand you have people who are like, well, I need more because like I don't have nearly enough. And then you've got other people who are like, well, too much is not good. Like you don't want to be here either.
There's one thing that I found is that the one illusion that we're often under is that if we think, if I just had more free time, I'd be happy. If I just had all the things that I wanted, I would be happy. But it's such the wrong road to go down, because you know what we actually want? We want to be challenged. It's like a video game. You want to be challenged just enough that you feel like you're growing and improving.
Yeah.
And like when you actually do succeed, you feel like you've accomplished something.
And
if it's too easy, yeah.
No,
if it's too hard, you just like, man,
yeah, exactly.
Game,
like
you know?
that goes back to the whole unfulfilling work thing, where it's like people face a lot of challenges, but they're not the kind that reward them, and they're not they're not challenging in any sort of creative way. They're not. Yeah, it's just he's a disaster.
He's a disaster. Okay, well, let's take a quick break.
Okay.
And then we'll come back and we will do the second half of the episode.